Hi, Spartan families. I know that many of you are working really hard to support your Spartan in their at-home remote learning. In this video, I want to talk to you about how you can help support your young Spartans who are working on learning to read. One great system to keep in mind when you're reading with your child is the phrase, pause, prompt, praise. Pause, prompt, praise is a great way to support your learner. Pause means that you wait a moment when your student makes an error or when they get stuck. We want our Spartans to do their very best to use all their strategies and skills to figure out problems and overcome them on their own. If your child can't figure it out, then that's when you can jump in with a prompt. And I'll get to some examples of ways you can prompt your student in a moment. After they overcome their problem, then you'll praise them. Tell them that you're proud of them and that they're becoming a better reader every day. Pause, prompt, praise. Here are some ideas for prompting. If your Spartan makes a mistake and doesn't notice at first, still pause. Oftentimes when students get to the end of a line or a sentence or a page, they will recognize their own error and go back and self-correct it. If they don't, then you could repeat what they said, asking them, did that make sense? Does that sound right? And hopefully that will prompt them to go back and correct what they misread. If your Spartan is stuck on a word, one thing that you could do is cover part of the word and help them look for parts that they know. So in this word, you might cover up the ending part and ask them, do you know this part of the word? Or you might cover up the beginning and ask them, do you know what this part says? Or maybe you could tell them, do you see this little word inside the big word? These are all prompts for word solving. You might also help prompt your Spartan by stretching out the sounds in the word and saying them very slowly. So in this word example, you would say, or, or. Can you put those sounds together to make the word? Stretching out the sounds can help prompt your child. If your child is starting to read longer words, you could break them up into syllables and sound them out syllable by syllable. So if we were looking at this word, we could break it up and do the first part first. So this part says p-ick, pick. And the second part says n-ick, nick. Put it together, pick, nick, picnic. Finally, if your child is not really struggling with figuring out the words, you still want to prompt them and make sure that they are understanding what they read. So, after each page or two, you might stop and ask them, what did you just read? What do you remember? You could also ask them questions, especially if you're listening to them read. You could ask direct questions about what they've read. One last thing that you might do is help them practice summarizing by doing a 5-finger retell. So after they have finished reading, if their piece is a story, the 5-finger retell goes like this: setting, characters, beginning, middle, end. So you could ask them, what is the setting? Where does the story take place? Who are the characters? Who was most important in this story, or who had a problem? What happened in the beginning? What happened in the middle? And what happened at the end? If their text is informational, you can still do a 5-finger retell. You would just ask some different questions. So your first question would be about the topic. What is this piece mostly about? Your second question would be, what do you remember? Your student could tell 1, 2, or 3 facts that they learned or that they found interesting. And then lastly, they could add in a question or something that they wonder about that same topic. Thank you so much for helping your Spartan at home to become the best reader that they can be.